So today's news has me a little bit worried about Cyberpunk, or I should say a lot of bit worried, but at the same time, I'm kind of strangely excited about the potential about this, and we're talking about multiplayer elements sneaking their way into Cyberpunk. Let's hit the dance floor. We're going to be going over this news today, plus a bunch of other stuff related to Cyberpunk. So let's do this, shall we?
Oh yeah!
Alright, so check it out. Here is today's headline right here. It says Cyberpunk and the Witcher franchises will be adding some multiplayer activities gradually. Gradually being the very key word here. It's not going to be happening all at once, but it seems like their tone has really changed about online. It was first, hey, we're going to be releasing a standalone AAA experience for Cyberpunk that is going to be multiplayer. I think they were going to aim really high for this and go after GTA Online. Then they released Cyberpunk. It really had some major issues at launch. Then they said, we're going to take a step back. We're going to add online elements, social settings to the game, which didn't sound like much. Maybe leaderboards, things like that. But now their tone has changed once again. To me, it has upgraded from the social settings they were talking about previously, and now it's full-blown multiplayer activities. We'll see what this could be. Could it be time trials, team deathmatch, that sort of thing? Actually, you know what? We are going to be going over some really interesting multiplayer leaks here in just a moment. Now, let's get into the quote here. It says, speaking in a recent quarterly investors Q&A, CD Projekt President Adam Kinski said that the future games in both franchises, The Witcher and Cyberpunk, will receive multiplayer elements, though they will be added at a gradual pace. Though he wouldn't reveal which of the two would be first to take that step, Kinski said that it would be a gradual curve, with CD Projekt RED using the first attempt to learn more about the process and building on that with future projects. So to me, it sounds like it's almost going to be a beta. Are you all ready to be beta testers? But yeah, it just seems like, it sounds like to me it's going to be some sort of beta experience with whatever online elements they add. So be warned, there might be some hiccups with that. And to me, it seems like they're going to choose Cyberpunk, of course, when it comes to whatever game they go with between the Witcher franchise and Cyberpunk. I would think they would want to implement multiplayer first and foremost into Cyberpunk. Now, we have a more extensive quote here. It says, we are planning to add multiplayer functionality in the future to both franchises. We are not revealing which franchise will get that multiplayer functionality, but the first attempt will be something we can learn from, and then we add more and more. So step by step, we want to open doors to multiplayer, but adding some multiplayer activities gradually. So they're really being cautious with this one, which I think is extremely important, because I personally want them to nail down the expansions, the single player experience first and foremost. But there's a really interesting quote from CD Projekt RED before Cyberpunk released, and it gives you the tone and feeling from CD Projekt RED. And of course that has changed, but to me, I feel like it's in the back of their mind always. It says here, Cyberpunk Online features necessary for long-term success. And this is what they said previously. They said this, speaking to Polish investment site Strefa, I don't know how to say that. It says, CD Projekt RED CEO Adam Kinski revealed the developer is investing heavily in Cyberpunk and hopes to make it more financially successful than The Witcher 3. Kinski confirmed that there will be a certain online element related to Cyberpunk. Online is necessary or very recommended if you wish to achieve a long-term success. Do you guys think this is true? Do you think it is possible to just make a single-player game that has immense success for years and years? I think it's possible. I mean, look at what Elder Scrolls has accomplished. Look at what Fallout has accomplished. I know that they're shooting for the moon with the concurrent player count and numbers and things like that. GTA always is on top in that regard. But yeah, first and foremost, go back to your roots, nail that down, accomplish amazing things there, even if it takes you 5 years, and then get into online stuff if you have a good base here, but be very careful about doing that. Now, what could we see from online multiplayer for Cyberpunk? There's some really good indication, and this one right here caught my attention. This article says, Cyberpunk's heist-inspired missions make its campaign feel real, and I totally agree with this article, and this is honestly what I would like to see if they did some sort of online mode. Now, the article goes on to say this, zoom in, so Cyberpunk's campaign flows from one logical sequence of events to another. This ultimately makes the whole feel less gamey. For example, pulling off the heist on Kanpaki Plaza requires several hours of prep work, meeting with fixers, finagling a prototype robot that can scale walls, and reviewing a brain dance of part of the building's layout, all before the heist even begins. This is something that I think would be really, really cool as heist co-op missions, which, by the way, we got to talk about the leak because it relates directly to this article that we could possibly in the future see online heists as a thing for Cyberpunk, and that would be really cool with me. It says Cyberpunk multiplayer modes, including heists, may have been discovered by data miners. Multiplayer modes are referenced in the game's executable file. Now, you guys hear me saying that I would really like to see this sort of thing. Please be mindful, again, that I want them to succeed first and foremost as a single player experience. So I just want to say that disclaimer before all the hate comments begin rolling in here. But yeah, let's get into this leak here. It says the game executable file so far has 2 distinct multiplayer modes. The first one is called Heist, whereas the second one is a simple deathmatch. The Heist mode seems to function closer to a standard single-player quest, along with dedicated functions with editor helper descriptions such as you could set the heist state, set spawn point tag that will be used to spawn new players during the mission, and spawn tag, stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting right there. So perhaps we will see this heist mode actually come to fruition, but it seems like to me they got so excited about this that they wanted to make a AAA experience out of it in a standalone game. And to me, before even Cyberpunk was released, they were tinkering around with the idea. Now, furthermore, it goes on to say this. We have a bunch of different leaks here with character classes that we could potentially see in a heist-type game mode experience. We have solo, assassin, netrunner, and techie-type character classes. You know, this stuff is all old, but it would be pretty cool to have a new character that you can flesh out in your heist mode. Then we have this. Furthermore, the game may rely on peer-to-peer connections and may not have dedicated servers. Now, that would be a bummer. Going by the scraps, it seems that the game targets purely peer-to-peer connection with some host authority. Again, things may change. We're not saying Cyberpunk won't have dedicated servers. However, the executable that currently hints at peer-to-peer. You know, dedicated servers is a huge undertaking, and even like Call of Duty fails to do that. So would we be seeing dedicated servers? Who knows? It's such a big undertaking to do that, but Battlefield has accomplished it, and it still has problems. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see from the multiplayer stuff from Cyberpunk. By the way, I have to mention this one right here. I have been working pretty hard on getting you guys STARFIELD coverage. Check it out right here. Oops, sorry about that. Check it out right here. This was my most recent video, and I wanted to point you guys to that. See the link in the description below. It's really, really cool. It showcases some new shots from the game. More specifically, I should say new concept arts right here. You could see how you could potentially have, I believe this could be a family and even pets, and they showed some of the other planets that we would be visiting. But yeah, I'm getting hyped for STARFIELD. Wanted to point you to this video because I will be covering it in 2022, believe you me. All right, so that does it for all the information about heists and online details, whatever modes or activities they will be developing. It's gonna be, we'll see what happens. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Hopefully they could pull it off. But now it's time to get into your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. So let's do this. Let's go to my most recent Cyberpunk video, shall we? So this is it right here. It says Cyberpunk receives new backlash in wake of good news. Official updates from CD Projekt RED. And if you're probably wondering what new backlash is Cyberpunk seeing, so people are not forgetful as to the launch of this game. There has been recent praise for Cyberpunk, of course, and I think, you know, it does deserve praise. Don't get me wrong, and it's so cool to see newcomers hopping into this game and celebrating it. That makes me hyped. But there is a group that never forgets and never forgives. But yeah, that's what that video was about, and I highlighted some stuff there. Let's see what you guys had to say. Are you forgiving or not? Let's see. So first of all, we have Sam H, who says all they need to do, in my opinion, is say to the community, look, the game isn't ready, but we're going to be releasing it as early access and then continue to work on it via patches. This would have enabled people to make a decision based on accurate information, provide feedback from their playing experience, therefore let the community feel far more involved than they have. I honestly don't think anyone would have had a problem with that had they done it that way. The biggest worry about that is it turns into like a Star Citizen situation, and it never gets out of alpha or anything, and it stays there forever and ever. But I like your idea. In this case, that would have been a really good idea, or just like delay the freaking game for a year and a half. I'm patient. I'm willing to wait because we have other things that have released anyway to keep us busy. I just don't want the game to be such a mess at launch. Furthermore, we have this one from Jizim Hukazam. It says, imagine how much smaller the backlash could have been if they would have been honest about the state of the game and released it as an early access title. They did all this work. Yeah, so someone else supporting early access right here. A lot of you guys agree with that. We have GB Riker 61 who says, CD Projekt RED should be praised when it deserves to be praised and should be criticized when it deserves to be criticized. It should not be blindly defended. No company should be blindly defended. 100% agree with you. I stand in the middle. I will not forgive them for Cyberpunk's shoddy launch. There was no excuse for that, but I will give them a chance to fix this game. And that's how I feel about it. You know, they gave us a great experience with The Witcher 3. I want them to get back to that. And yeah, I do actually feel for the developers. I want them to be able to say, hey, we went through some rough times. Do you remember that Cyberpunk launch? Now we're actually got our stuff together and know what we're doing. Will that happen? We'll see. That's what I'm going to keep track for you guys. But there it is, the latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, smack that like button. And I will see you all next time. Take care.